drive?
Yeah, downhill. So many people with their cars there. I don't know how many people actually work anymore. Because if you drive down the road, there's cars everywhere. You know?
Drive to North Reading today.
Driving, Mickey. That's right. How long does it take you to the good weather? Quite a while.
About an hour.
Well, you'd be on there for like 2 or 3.
What's that? 8:45. Call this meeting to order. Committee meeting Friday, December 16th, 2022. The clerk can please call the roll.
Council Gardner,
Present.
Council Boone,
Present.
and Council Plummer.
Present. We will start with department updates. The building department with us today, but we will start with public health.
Want me to come up or can I do it from here?
Whatever you want.
All right, I'll do it from here. Oh, the camera, oh, you can hear me. I'll talk loud.
Real loud.
So prevention, everything continues in the school. So the prevention program at Gardner Middle School, Gardner High School. Since the last time when we met, there were some events. There was a Recovery Month event in September with about 150 participants. The October Prevention Conference was held 10/21 and had about 100 participants as well. There was an Addiction 101 presentation at Gateway College program at Mount Washington Community College in November. Also in November, Veronica did a presentation for the school board. So she stood up and presented some YCS data, so youth community survey data. We've been doing it in schools in Gardner for years, so it's really nice because we have trend data on like substance use and first-time use and whatnot in the schools. So she did that in November. The landfill issue is just an update there. We are working with Tata and Howard. They're the engineers that are working on the sledge landfill expansion. So we figured since they're already familiar with the project and like the pump station down there, we continue to work with them. So they're helping our department with the bid process for the leachate pump repairs. So we're in the middle of that. Little issue at transfer station with contaminated waste oil. So now there's a process where before they can come and empty our drums of waste oil that residents drop off, they are testing it for contamination. So recently ours was contaminated with perchloroethylene. It's like a dry cleaning substance, or it can be like a solvent. There's really no way to monitor how it got in there. Like, so people are coming with, you know, drug jugs that are not transparent. You know, they're just dumping in the big waste oil jug. There's really, I mean, other than signage, please don't, you know, dump contaminated oil. There's really not a lot we can do. That contaminated oil, normally when we have the oil picked up, it costs about $620 to have it emptied. The contamination is over $6,000. So temporarily we have that closed. It's also a process, so, you know, since it's over a certain amount of money, we have to go through the whole, you know, process with purchasing and whatnot, contracts. And so we're full down there. We have waste oil that needs to be picked up. It's like now that it's contaminated, they need to come and dump it, and they have to clean the tanks, clean their truck. It's like, it's a process. So currently closed, contaminated oil down at transfer. Just wanted to update you on that. So new textile ban, I know I talked about it, textile and mattress ban. I talked about it last time. We send out that mailer to all Gardner residents about the new service that we offer at home, where people can get their stuff picked up at their door. I've actually used it. It's great. Put a bunch of stuff on my porch. It came. When we first started, 13 homes were participating. That was in July. The last number I have was 54 homes participated. So I think that mailer really did a good job letting people know about it. We're looking to add some additional boxes in the city. We're just trying to find a good location. It's tough because we don't want illegal dumping, so we need it somewhere that's visible and, you know, close to the street so they can pick it up. And so it's tough to find a location, but we're looking for one. We recently did that mobile home condemnation. I think I mentioned it. There was a resident living in a mobile home with no water, no sewer. We were able to get him housing, so he has an apartment now in the city. Everyone was really helpful with that. People helped get him furniture and things that he needed. The PD had the trailer towed, so now we don't have to worry about him going back and trying to stay in the trailer. So it's like, that came out like really well. It was a good outcome. We're wrapping up licensing in our office. Earlier this week, when I checked, we had 126 permits complete, 34 weren't done. So we're now in the process of reminding people if they didn't do it, to do it, please. And then we'll have to do cease and desist letters the last week of the month if people don't comply and fill out their permit paperwork. COVID cases. Gardner is currently an 8.26 positivity rate. The state is a 7.26. That was as of the 12/8 data. We're still giving out test kits in the department. Gardner was recently identified as a vaccine equity initiative community, meaning we didn't have a high rate of boosted individuals. So the state is offering us additional resources. So we've been working with the state. They have like a mobile unit that will come out and do clinics. I know you've probably heard my Code Red calls recently. We've been having lots of clinics going on. We had 2 this week at the middle school. So they did it during like the chorus concert, thinking that would get some people in there. The Code Red calls really do help. I know they're kind of annoying sometimes, but they really do get more people in the door at these clinics. We've had clinics at PACC, here at City Hall, and there's one Monday at the Senior Center. And the MPHN COVID response team is also doing them at like smaller businesses. So they just had 2 this week. They had one at New England Woodwear and Denton Creek. They're also looking to do one in January at Bethany Baptist, and we are also hoping to do a COVID shingles pneumonia clinic in February. That's all I got.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? Councilor Harden?
No, nothing.
Yeah, just Lauren, how are we gonna do control the waste oil? I guess, how are you gonna know what's
You
contaminated?
can't.
Isn't waste oil contaminated anyways, in general?
Well, it's not supposed to have like dry cleaning solution or solvents in it or things that can be like more hazardous than just the waste oil itself. You know, so really the only thing I can think of is just signage. And I maybe, you know, just temporary closing it temporarily. I mean, we're telling people you can go dispose of it where you bought it. So if you bought it at Walmart, Advanced Auto, they'll take it back. So we're trying to educate on other solutions, or we could just take on household hazardous waste day, because that's like a free service, not free, but it's in our waste contract.
Right.
We have those twice a year. So other than just putting more clear signage, like if it's contaminated, we cannot take it, please don't dump it in here, otherwise we have to shut down, because if like we open and it happens again, like $12,000 for a, you know, I don't know that we can keep up with that.
Right, right.
So do the best we can. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chief, Green.
Morning. Well, we're pretty busy. Across the street, we're in the process of hiring 6 officers. In addition to the 1 officer, we have the police academy right now, it's about halfway through. That's student officer Angel Espada. He's doing very well in the academy, so should be no issues on the way out. So but he will graduate until March 23rd. So we're still going to be pretty short here for a little while. We're shooting for a February academy, but it's maybe a little ambitious. We might be looking at March or April. It's a 6-month, 8-month process to get an officer trained at that point. So we're still looking at this time next year, probably by the time next year. So that's taking a lot of our time right now. The deadline's today, applications closed. Several grants pending for next year. I have to congratulate Detective Chief Maroney prior to him taking the position. He was our primary grant writer, and he obtained several grants for us. One very sizable grant through the Shannon Initiative. It's a gang initiative grant. We're with Fitchburg on it, and we received almost $50,000 just for that. It offsets, does a lot of the Junior Police Academy, our data program, a lot of the juvenile trainings we send the officers to, which is mandatory now. All the school resource officers, because of posts, have to receive additional training. So a lot of the stuff offsets, so it doesn't come out of the general operating budget. It comes out of the grant funding. So hotspot patrols, so say if somebody has an issue in their neighborhood, they're requesting additional, we can send officers down there through the grant to fund that. In addition to that, we have a municipal road safety grant, so that sometimes that'll fund some of the signage you see, like the speed signs and stuff on the small speed signs and the big speed signs. Also funds our additional traffic patrols, so ticketing for drunk driving enforcement, crosswalk enforcement, any distracted driving offenses, things like that. Domestic violence advocate, grant application is still pending. We're waiting on that. I'm not sure. That's a competitive grant, so I think we'll hear sometime in January whether we receive the grant or not. We're also in the process with the Department of Mental Health grant for a dual clinician to respond dually with the police officers. So for folks in mental health crisis, we'll have a trained clinician with us who can do follow-ups and things like that. So it'll be a higher level of training than a police officer would have. So hopefully it'll assist us on the street to kind of relieve some of the volume that the officers are dealing with at a higher level. So let's see, Rocky is going to drug school in January. He starts January 2nd. It's a 6-week program. He's already patrol certified. That's why he can be in the cruiser and run around Officer Willis. But now he will receive additional training, so he'll be able to sniff out drugs. We are planning 2 citizens academies. One, the Senior Citizens Academy, which Deputy Chief Maroney started a couple of years ago at 50 Pine Street. He brought the program that we've been doing for years from the police station down to them. So we're still going to continue that, and we're going to also have a regular one at the police station as well. Animal control, we interviewed for the third position, made an offer. I was just informed that our first choice accepted another position elsewhere, so we're back to reviewing or making another offer to another person. We did meet with all the area chiefs with our collaborative agreement with Ashland, Westminster, and Hubbardston, just to kind of go over policies and procedures, make sure that we're reaching the marks we want to reach. Civil defense, Paul's been very active with training with task forces. He's working up with the Athol area as well. So we're trying to pool resources in case of, like, if the snow is worse or something like that, we have more resources to tap into. So that's about it right now. Any questions or concerns?
I have a question. You talk about the mental health, and you'll have an advocate that will go out with a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great idea. I have a child that has severe mental illness, and you see so many of them. The families wear down, they wear out.
Sure.
And then those people are just all over the streets, it's sad, but thank you.
Yeah, it's a fantastic program, and again, they're starting a lot of these in a lot of other areas, so we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just kind of going off of what somebody else drew up, but it's a fantastic program because what ends up happening is the officer only has so many tools in the bag to deal with those types of crises. The level of training isn't the same as someone who's professionally, trained in that regard. And obviously, somebody who's got higher level training has access to different resources as well, and knows how to understand the situation sometimes better, and can educate the officers as well. So we're hoping to get that off the ground early next year.
Thank you.
Yeah, one more.
Yes, sure.
I saw in the news an officer somewhere touched a little bit of fentanyl and what went down on the ground. And does every officer have the Narcan?
Yes, every officer's issued 2 doses of Narcan, obviously to utilize for folks we come into contact with in substance abuse crisis, but they also can use it on themselves if need be. I am familiar with, I know one of the a state trooper investigating a death, and it ended up being a fentanyl death, but it was able to aerosolize in the air just from the door moving. The air, and he actually went down, and they had to transport him because fentanyl is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. So that's all we see now. We really don't see everything coming back from the drug lab now isn't heroin. A lot of it's fentanyl. So it's scary. There's a lot of it.
Thank you.
Set. Good morning. The fire department will start off with a personnel update. So we have 3 new firefighters on board that started in October. Joshua Chapels, Matthew Adnesio, and Justin Calderon. You all met firefighter Chapels at the last council meeting. He was sworn in. He came to us fully trained, so we're able to complete in-house training with him to familiarize him with our policies and procedures, and then he is immediately part of the firefighting crew. The other 2 recruits, firefighter Adnesio and Calderon, both need to attend the Career Firefighting Recruit Academy, which they will begin on January 16th of next year, with graduation scheduled for late March. So they are currently working in-house, going through in-house basic training. We are also currently in the process of filling 3 additional vacancies we have right now. We conducted interviews earlier this week. Civil Service had sent out approximately 190 notifications to candidates on the firefighter eligibility list. We had 8 people come in and sign the list and complete applications. We did interview all 8 of those, and so we're going through the application review process and other aspects of pre-employment review. So we'll be making decisions about choosing some candidates there and working their way through the hiring process. I'm anticipating they'll probably start working here in late February or early March. Over the past several months, we had 2 additional firefighters resign from the fire department. Both accepted positions at other area fire departments. And the 3 vacancies that we're currently filling include those 2. So if we are able to fill all 3 vacancies that we have now, that will bring us up to full staffing. And of course, because of all the vacancies, the overtime budget continues to run high. The lengthy hiring process contributes to that also. And we also have 1 firefighter that continues to be out on extended injury leave. We recently received notification from the state that we received a $19,000 award from the fiscal year 2023 Massachusetts Firefighter Safety Equipment Grant. This funding will be used to purchase new hose and nozzles, replacing equipment that is currently in use that dates back to the late 1980s and early 1990s. So it's equipment that is definitely in desperate need of being replaced. That is a no-match grant, so there's no additional cost to the city. The fiscal year 2020 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant Award that funded the new fire and carbon monoxide detection system at fire headquarters is now completed. The new system is up and running, and all inspections have been completed and signed off. So that is completed. That was just over $49,000 project. On the fleet side of things, so we have the new Ford Horton ambulance is on order, with delivery expected in the summer of 2023. This unit was purchased with ARPA funds, and once delivered and put in service will be the fire department's primary ambulance, which will change the current ambulance, Rescue 3, which is a 2018 Ford Horton ambulance. That will be removed to reserve status, and the current reserve ambulance, Rescue 2, 2007 Ford Horton, will be traded into the dealer. We also have the new Sutphen pumper on order. with delivery scheduled for May of 2024, so that's still about a year and a half out. This truck is also being purchased with ARPA funds. It will be replacing the well-known problematic engine 2, which is the 2011 International Rosenbauer pumper. We have already traded that into the dealer, and the dealer provided us a loaner pumper, which is a 2002 Pierce, that will be here until the delivery of the new truck. And the third piece of equipment that we have on order is a new Sutphen heavy rescue truck that will be replacing the current Rescue 1, which is a 1996 Ford Emergency 1. This is the truck that carries a specialized and technical rescue equipment, jaws of life, high-angle rescue equipment, ice and cold water rescue equipment. This is also being purchased with ARPA funds, and delivery is also scheduled for May of 2024. And the current truck will be also traded into the dealer at the time of delivery. So that's a good move forward on the fire department fleet. That's going to really modernize the fleet and put us in real good shape for the relative near future. When that is done, the oldest truck will be Tower 1, which is the 2002 95-foot tower ladder, which is currently out of service. It's at the dealership service center in Connecticut, having additional hydraulic work done on the bucket leveling system, which there was some work done last year. There was an additional failure. And of course, acquiring the parts has been a nightmare. It's just everything we're looking for parts is weeks and weeks out. And then when that time comes, they tell you weeks and weeks again. So they have the parts now, and hopefully they're going to complete everything and we'll have the truck back next week. Our second aerial ladder truck, combination 4, we also have some issues with that right now. It recently experienced a malfunction of the self-retracting reel and electric cable that runs the length of the aerial ladder, that provides power to the top of the ladder for lighting, AC power to run tools, plus controls for the nozzle and everything that's at the top of the ladder. We had a failure of the reel, so the electrical line did not retract into the reel. It got caught on some equipment and damaged. So most of the equipment is still functioning, so the truck remains in service at this time. But unfortunately, the reel and the wiring needs to be replaced, and that repair is estimated at $14,000. And of course, they are not available right now. They're telling us 5 months before the parts are available. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that the truck is able to remain in service for that time period until we can get the repair scheduled and the parts in. And of course, that's a fairly large hit to the repairs and maintenance budget. Hopefully we'll be able to take care of that within the budget. At this point, so far, so good, but we'll see if anything else comes up throughout the rest of the year. A few months ago, the ambulance service and fire department audit final report was completed by John Perro Consulting and was presented to the council back in September. If the councilors have any questions or would like any more additional information on the contents of the report, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions on that. The roof issues over at fire headquarters, over the summer, we did have a contractor come in and remove the damaged drywall and insulation on the apparatus bay section of the building. We've made 2 attempts bringing a contractor in to repair the internal gutter system, which appears to be the main issue with the roof leaks over there. and it has been unsuccessful. So we're still getting a lot of major leaks into the building there. So I think we're gonna have to look at formulating a plan to probably re-roof the entire building. It's approaching that 50-year mark old, and it's still the original roof. So I'm sure it's gonna be a major investment, but the patching just doesn't seem to be working. The new heating system at the South Gardner Fire Station for the first floor, or the apparatus bays down there, has been completed by Royal Steam. So that is up and running. And the second floor of the building has been winterized, where it will remain unheated moving forward. So we're in good shape down there. And just an activity update, through this point of the calendar year 2022, we've responded to over 5,200 calls for emergency service, and the fire department ambulance has transported well over 2,000 patients to area hospitals. So it's been a very busy year, a little bit busier than the last few. I think just post-pandemic, everybody's getting back out there, moving around more. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chief, you mentioned lengthy hiring process. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, yeah, so we're still under civil service. So when we determine we have a vacancy, under civil service, you can't call to fill a vacancy before it exists. So once there's a vacancy, I notify the personnel director. She files the paperwork to civil service that we have X number of vacancies, and then they send out notifications to the candidates on the list. They have a time period to come in and sign that they are interested in the position, which I believe is 10 days, 10 business days. And then from there, personnel department sends out applications, and the people complete applications and resumes and various other things, and they return them to us. We schedule interviews, and then from there we go through the selection process, and the most timely part of this process now becomes background checks, and then getting them off for required physicals. They're also required by civil service to do strength tests, agility tests, which they have to take. They have to take 2. They have to take a practice one or a preview one, and then they also have to take the actual test. And then from there we do psychological evaluations. So it takes a lot of time. 3 to 4 months is about the typical time period. And then from there, once we onboard them, we kind of do our field training prior to them going to the academy because of the way the Mass Fire Academy works. You can't reserve a spot for a candidate in the fire academy until they're actually an employee of the city. So it's been, that part of it's been working out pretty good the last couple of years. The fire academy has added additional campuses, so they are moving more candidates through in a more reasonable time period. So the last several rounds of hiring, we've had about 12 weeks of in-house training or field training, if you want to call it that, which gets them up to speed on everything they need to know Gardner Fire-wise. And then they go to the fire academy, do the 10 weeks at the fire academy, and upon successful completion of that, they come right back and they're fully trained and become part of the firefighting force. So it's the complete process from the time we have a vacancy until the time they are fully trained and rolling as part of the crew is about a year, give or take. Little less maybe, but on average, I'd say 10 to 12 months.
Thank you. Excuse me, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just the, outside of civil service, talking to other fire chiefs, they're having staffing challenges and hiring challenges also. It's everywhere, it's not just the civil service communities that are having trouble filling vacancies and retaining staffing. So it's a problem everywhere.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your updates. Moving on to item 1057, the ordinance to amend the code of the city of Gardner, chapter 428, entitled Hoppers and Peddlers. Chief Magnin.
This is just short, Council, thank you. This creates an exemption for city-sponsored events, and it just kind of reduces some of the red tape, if you will. That's really the full content of that, this ordinance change.
Any questions or comments?
No.
No? I will entertain a motion.
Motion to recommend to the full council the ordinance change.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Boone, second by Councilor Gardner to recommend approval of the ordinance to amend the code of the city of Gardner, chapter 428, entitled Hoppers and Peddlers. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And 10861, ordinance to amend the code of the city of Gardner, chapter 600, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, section 42, entitled One-Way Street.
This is we recommend the traffic commission met and discussed this matter. It had been brought up, I think we found in the minutes, it had been brought up about 3 years ago, in regards to changing Reagan Street from two-way to one-way. There were several issues that were brought to our attention. There's a bottleneck behind the church and the school. There's parking on both sides. The vehicles can't get through. This was, and school pickup times and things like that. It's a very congested area. We thought it would be mitigated because now you do have access points off of Lawrence Street, and the roads aren't that long. So to change it to a one-way, it's not an extreme hardship. You don't have to go so far out of your way to get around it. And Nickel Street would be going southerly, Reagan Street would be going northerly.
To be clear, this is the entirety of Reagan Street.
The entire length of Reagan Street, yes. From Baker to Parker Street, yes.
Questions? Comments?
No, I think that's a great idea. A lot of the different streets need that to be done, and there's.
If you've ever seen the traffic down there, and the parking issues down there, you can't get two-way traffic through in a certain time. People have to stop and let other people through.
Yes, no, I think it's a good idea too, but have we informed the residents about, and what's the process, and should we have a public hearing for this change? Obviously, us on the safety committee, or me and Karen anyways, think it's a good idea, and obviously the chief and others, but I think the residents should have some input, so I'm curious about that.
Not that I'm aware of. Didn't say anything on public. Obviously, we met with the traffic commission, but nothing publicly that I'm aware of, Constable. I mean, we could pump the brakes on this and go back and try to do that if you think it would be.
How about just, going door to door and placing something in their mailbox or something in their door that states that, I mean, obviously a lot of them are not going to be happy, but I think it's being done for the right reason.
I don't know that they would be unhappy, especially those people down by Parker Street. I don't think it's going to upset them. I think they'll be
They're
happy
happy with it,
this.
yeah.
Personally,
Just be stopped all the time. trying to
yeah,
get past
no, and again, I think it's a good idea, I just think they should be informed prior to us making the final call. So I'd like to see it delayed until they're informed and they have the right to come to us and for opposition or for.
We could certainly, however you want to proceed with it, we could have some type of public hearing if they'd like to present their sole shirt.
Are you requesting more time?
I'm requesting more time, thank you.
I request, if there's no objections, we will give this item more time. There is a traffic meeting Monday, so we can actually discuss this again.
That would be great.
Item 10868, application for motor vehicles dealer licenses class 1 from Salvador Chevrolet 442 West Broadway and Salvador Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram 442 West Broadway. Chief.
Police Department has no issue with this particular license.
They are in good standings, it's been circulated, they all passed.
Okay, motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and send to the full council.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Harder, second by Councilor Boone to recommend approval of all applications for motor vehicle dealer licenses class 1. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion passes. Item 10869, application for motor vehicle dealer licenses class 2 for AC Auto Clinic 411 Park Street, Blake Motors 412 Main Street, Ryan's Auto Sales 549 West Broadway, Gardner Automotive Inc. 182 West Street, Gardner Motors LLC 119 Pearson Boulevard, JPJ Automotive LLC 78 East Broadway, Mike's Auto 251 East Broadway, Asagi Enterprise LLC 43 Toby Street, Rick's Radiator Repair Used Car Sales 800 West Broadway, Salvador Chevrolet 421 West Broadway, Salvador Chevrolet 249 Tiffany Boulevard, Sylvester R. Angway Sales 146 Sherman Street, Rob's Dino Services LLC 268 Coleman Street, J Wood Inc. 361 West Street, and TJ and Son Auto Sales 537 West Broadway. Chief, any concerns on any of these applications?
No, sir, no concerns at all. Nice job.
They're good as well on taxes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for 10869 to approve and send to the full council.
And I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Boone on item 10869, application for motor vehicle dealer licenses class 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes. Item 10870, application for motor vehicle dealer licenses class 3, Asagi Enterprises LLC used auto parts sales at 43 Toby Street. Chief.
No issues from the police department.
Same, no issues with taxes.
Same motion.
I'll make a motion 10870 to approve and send to the full council.
And second.
Motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Boone to approve, recommend approval of application 10870, application for motor vehicle dealer license class 3, Asagi Enterprises. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes. New business, Councilor Boone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to probably bring this up I will bring it up at our city council meeting. We got an email from Paul DeMayo about wreaths across America going through town. Was it last night or the night before? It went through 140 to Winchton. And our 100th anniversary is next year, and there was a recommendation that maybe Gardner can host them coming to Gardner and putting on an event. So I'm hoping that we can get this rolling, because I guess they start making decisions in January on where they're going to go. So I wanted to just bring that up, and that I think it would be a great thing for Gardner, especially our 100th anniversary, to have the wreaths across America come to Gardner. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilor Harden, do you have any?
No, nothing, so thank you all for what you do.
All right, I will second that, thank you, and I wish you all safety and good luck out there dealing with the aftermath of today. If there's no other new business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilor Harden, second by Councilor Boone to adjourn, all in favor? Aye, opposed?